And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's amazing NCAA Outdoor Championships Division One on the men's side. What an outstanding meet! We had a lot of big surprises. Unfortunately, the weather did not hold up the way we were hoping, but we still got some great time, some great marks, and so we'll just discuss that here. Today, we're going to talk about the track first, so we'll go from the 100 all the way up to the 10K, and then we'll dive deep into the field, starting with the jumps and then moving to the throws, and then we'll talk about the team title battle. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, we'll start with the men's 100, and I want to say I got this right, and I'm happy. Jordan Anthony of Arkansas found a way to pull it out. Hats off, young man, the talented football player who uh, did not have the semifinal I think he wanted. Ended up third in his heat, and was immediately counted out. No one expected for him to find a way to win it, but somehow, some way, out of lane nine, which would be the lane this meet, we'll talk about that soon again. He pulled it out running a 10:07. The weather did slow the times down a bit because there were quite a few sub 10 performances prior to this meet, and even one in the semifinals by Kyan Sola of Auburn. But 10:07 for Jordan Anthony of Arkansas. Huge 10 team points for them as they were looking to win another national title. Now, moving to the 200, you have Carly Makarawu of Kentucky. And this young man, also out of lane nine, found a way to not only win the indoor, but he has won the outdoor. He has pulled off the sweep. And let's also remind everyone he was the junior college champion last year. So here he is winning the outdoor champion in Division One. It's a clear sign that Kentucky was the right fit for him to transfer to. And we shouldn't have discounted him, even though I thought the reason why he just wasn't having the outdoor season was because it looked as if he was injured. And here he is, proving he wasn't injured. He just was timing it correctly. He did defeat Maka Charamba, who also ran sub 20, running 19.9, and beating Garrett Kalund of USC, who also ran 19.9. So three sub 20s in the top three, proving that in order for you to be considered a champion in that event, you're going to have to run sub 20. Now, moving to the 400, Samuel Ghazi of Alabama. And the 400 has been really, to me, in general, a bit of a disappointment this year. I think a lot of that is because a lot of the top athletes have been dealing with some significant injuries all year long. So many of them have struggled to stay healthy, from Janarian McIver to just a bunch of others. It's just been an up and down event. None of the Georgia athletes even made it to the final, which was a shock. But Samuel Ghazi has come on strong, winning the SEC, been the top guy in the region, and now here he is, the NCAA champion with a time of 44.84, and he was the only sub 45 in the entire field. He is by way of Nigeria, and I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing a lot of him in the future. We'll probably be seeing more from him later this outdoor season as we transition now to the professional side. Moving to the 110 hurdles, we have the number five performance of all time in Jacoby Tharp of Auburn. He was huge for 10 for team title hopes, 10 big points, 13:05. He was a track athlete and basketball player out of high school. Focusing on track really did him wonders last outdoor season and indoor season as a freshman. Became All American. Almost won the meet as a freshman, and then this indoor season found a way to win it. Uh, and now he is the outdoor champion. 13:05 for Jacoby Tharp. That is a faster time as a sophomore than what Grant Holloway ran. So are we looking at potentially the next great American hurdler? I said that last year, and I feel even more strongly about that opinion now. Now, moving to the 400 hurdles, you have Nathaniel Ezekiel of Baylor, who will also be seen compete for Nigeria, and likely this summer, as he's broken the Nigerian national record yet again and become number two all time collegiately with a 47.49. Moving LSU coach Benny Brazil further down the line, and I said that in the preview that was going to happen, but 47.49, hats off to him. He ran a very strong race, dominating his field. And I think we knew that he had a lot in the tank after we saw his semi, and he went under 48 seconds in the semi. So I think he's in great shape for, international competition. And a time like that is going to put him in the same range as Warholm and Ryan Benjamin, and Dos Santos. Those are the three best 400 hurlers in the world and the three best of all time, not, including Kevin Young, who saw himself fall to fourth all time. And he held the record for what, almost 30 years, 25? I mean, he's still a legend, but Ryan Benjamin and Carson Vorholm and Ellison Dos Santos have rewritten how to run 400 hurdles in the times that they put up, excuse me. And I think Nathaniel is going to join them. Now, moving to the distance events, we have the 800 and a surprise. And it shouldn't have been a surprise because at one point he was going to be my favorite, but I did lean on Christian Jackson, and that's Sam Whitmarsh of Texas A&M. Seen him in person, and you can see those videos of him on this channel because he did compete for Texas A&M at the Penn Relays. He ran a very smart race. This was not a super duper time, 1:45.86, but it's still a great time. And he technically ran the smarter race because Christian Jackson did go out and did want to command, and he faded in the last 120 meters or so. And Sam just surged at the right time and used that tall body and those long, lanky legs to just surpass everyone and to claim the national title. And you're going to hear me say this a lot for those who finished in the top four, but he was huge in the team title hopes. 10 big points, and they really needed all of his points. Moving to the 1500, a surprise here, and it shouldn't have been because he's been a champion before. That's Nathan Green of Washington. And again, it's Washington, a school that has produced so many great middle distance runners and is probably the best middle distance program in the country in regards to development at this current time. I think there are a lot of great programs that will be challenging that and can challenge that. I would say North Carolina. I think we can include Oregon in that. And I think in the future, we're going to definitely be including Michigan. They got a freshman and a sophomore in the finals. Coach Kevin Sullivan, an NCAA champion and All American in his own right, will certainly bring them back next year and have an even stronger group. But Nathan Green represented for the Washington Huskies and the guys on the West Coast. 3:47.26, not a super stellar time, but still enough to win it. Next in the distance, we'll talk about the 3K steeplechase, and we should have included him in our prediction. And that's James Corrigan of BYU. And he was not included, and we stuck with the young, talented freshman, and he got outdone by Corrigan. And Corrigan is an Olympian. He met the A standard last year for Team USA at the last minute. And as I said in the preview and have been saying all year, we've been looking for a star in this event, and he may be the guy. 8:16.41. He is, a personal best. He may be the future. He is the NCAA champion. I believe the first one in a while for BYU. And they've been having, a distance renaissance. And that's a huge win for them. A great look for future of recruiting, which is going strong for BYU. They have pretty much the West Coast in that area of the West Coast, Washington, the mountainous part, Washington, Utah, and they're just recruiting and competing at a high level. Hats off to Corrigan. He's proven that he may be our future. We'll see because we have a talented freshman that may learn from this, but we can't ignore the fact that the defending champion is James Corrigan. The 5K, and it was a better tactical race than I expected, and it ended up being the same way as it was indoors. Brian Musau of Oklahoma State found a way to take down Hepton Samuel of New Mexico yet again. 13:20, 59. He pulled it out, and it just seems that he times it perfectly. And I also think we can't ignore the fact that he was fresh. Hapton also competed in the 10K. But Brian Musau, fresh, ready to go, ran a very smart tactical race and was able to outgun Hapton, who did have a pretty decent weekend, but no NCAA title for him. In the 10K, Hapton finished second here as well. So he was second in the 5K to Musau and second in the 10K to Ishmael Kipkiru, also of New Mexico, which had a meet. 29:07.70, not near his 26-minute run that he set as the collegiate record early in this season, but still impressive enough because he did outduel Hapton. Hapton did take the lead at a point during the meet and succeeded it to the group and went back to 5, and he kind of jockeyed back up to get towards the front. But once Ishmael got the lead, you could tell just with his strides and his speed, he had some another gear that Hampton did not, and he just specifically that last lap, it was very clear just how dominant he could potentially be in the future. But it was 1-2 in the 10K for New Mexico, which scored 18 points in that event alone. And now we will leave the track and head over to the jumps area. And a shocker right off the gate in the high jump, because I did not predict him, our Vesta Troop of Ole Miss was not even a guy mentioned. Didn't even see his name in the start list because I, just to be honest, wasn't looking for it. But he turned out to be the NCAA champion, 7 feet 5 1/4 inches, 2.27 meters. He pulled out the win, most consistent in the meet, and it was a surprise to me because I was just certain Tyus Wilson was going to find a way to win it. I've said this before. I think Nebraska is the best teacher of field technique, but not it did not come to pass because Wilson finished sixth overall. Hats off to our Vesta Troop. He's also the very first high jump NCAA champion for Ole Miss. And then you have the pole vault, and this is where things got really interesting for Texas A&M. 10 big team points from Alexander Solovev, 18 and 11 and a half, almost a 19-foot jump. That is a personal best, huge in the team title battle. They had two national champions in the weekend. So Coach Pat Henry should be very, very happy with his group. And we'll talk about at the end why he was very happy. But 18 and 11 and a half, huge for him. And I think we've been looking for the next pole vault star, and I think he may be the guy. I think the only, and he's a junior, the only next step is 19 feet. And looking forward to seeing what he does in his future. We're going to be hearing his name a lot more. And moving to the long jump, this was another surprise for me, and a pleasant surprise. I make no secret of my love for Florida track and field, and been following this young man pretty much his whole career. And we thought he was the next guy, and he finally does it. And that's Malcolm Clemens of Florida, winning the men's long jump. It was a surprise because he was not listed amongst the top three going in. He hadn't been, he's been an All American consistently his whole career, but he has not been near that trophy, in a while. And he found a way to win it 26 4 1/2. Not a super big jump, but enough to win 8.04 meters. He was the only champion this weekend for Florida and one of their two field highlights, which pretty much carried majority of their points. Injuries have riddled this team all year long, and I also think there have been a few athletes who just have not lived up to their capabilities. And I do predict there will be some significant roster changes going into next season. Um, Coach Mike Holloway, who has won three national titles in a row here, unfortunately, the three-peat will be where it ends, but he will certainly retool his team. Finding the next Malcolm Clemens is going to be tough. They do have a pretty good group coming in. We'll see if he can find someone of this caliber. Then a guy that I did predict in the triple jump, Brandon Green Jr. of Oklahoma, which had a great meet in the triple jump, first and second. He was the most dominant jumper, I think, this weekend because he really had no competition. Once he got it going, he didn't let up. 55 feet 2 inches, 16.81 meters. No one within a full inch of him because the second best performance was 53.10, and that came from his teammate. So 55 to 16.81 meters. Brandon Green is your NCAA champion in the triple jump. I was happy to say when it came to the jumps, I got 2 out of the 4. Now, moving to the final portion of the meet, you have our throwers, and we'll get started with another surprise. I got this wrong, but he was a name I mentioned as a contender, and that's Jason Swearens of Wisconsin. Hats off to him for pulling off the shocker of beating Tariq Robinson O'Hagan, who will leave this weekend with no hardware in the championship range. 69 feet, 8 inches, 21.23 meters. Not even a personal best was needed to defeat what was an impressive field. Hats off to him. Way to represent the Big Ten. Way to represent Wisconsin. The hammer throw had another Big Tenner, Costas Saltis of Minnesota, 256 feet, 2 inches, 78.08 meters. I was also really happy to see him do this because he's been so close. This was a personal best, but he's been so close. He's been third twice and he's been second. He's been the runner up before. He has really kind of been always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Has just been kind of looking and hoping and waiting for that title and finally pulled it out. Took a personal best to do it, but hats off to him. 256 feet, 2 inches. And Minnesota went 1-2 in this event. Huge 18 points. And let's remember that they are a very good throwing program. And the throws in the Big Ten is very tough. You have several elite programs. And we're not just talking elite, but several elite because they can produce national champions. You have your Minnesotas, you have your Wisconsins, you have your Oregons. You're just loaded with so many times. Michigan, Ohio State. It's an array of great throwing programs in that conference. And for him to be, another champion from there, and from Minnesota in particular, hats off to that man. Way to end your college career after waiting to get that title. You went out and got it. And then the discus, this was where there was a surprise for me because we had the world record holder, Mikola Selegna. And if you're knowing what I know, he didn't win it. It was Ralford Mullings of Oklahoma, the other NCAA champion from the Oklahoma Sooners. 227 feet, 4 inches, 69.31 meters. It took a personal best to win it. And when Mikolas is not on his game, he found a way to be on it. So hats off to him. Excuse me, 69 meters. We'll probably be hearing from him as he competes for Jamaica, which has really become probably the biggest threat to the European domination in this event. They are not just a nation of sprinters. I think it's very clear they're becoming a well-rounded track and field regime. In our last throwing event, no surprise, I did pick this DeVoe Diesel of Miami, and it didn't even take him a personal best, and he looked so smooth and comfortable. 268 feet, 2 inches, 81.75 meters for the senior. Will we hear his name in the future? We'll see. We don't know what are his pro prospects, but 268 feet, 2 inches, enough for him to win the national title. He looked very comfortable. The only champion from the University of Miami so far. Wondering if they have anything on the women's side. They have quite a few athletes competing today, so we'll see. And then our last event that we will talk about individually, Peyton Bear of Mississippi State, 8,323 uh, points, a personal best. He won a total of two events, the 100 and the 400. No surprise because he is Gatlin Bear's older brother, was a fast high schooler coming out of Idaho. But hats off to Peyton Bear, 8,323 points. And I think he might be the next big guy in the decathlete. Is he a Leo Neusbauer? Speed wise, he's faster. He's a much better runner. I think the area where he will have to improve is definitely his hurdling. He's probably going to have to improve more in the jumps and the throws to get more points, but he does well enough to score high. So hats off to him. I think the future is bright for young Peyton Bear. Now, moving more towards the team races, we'll start with the 4x1. And in the 4x1, you had Auburn, who I did predict to win it. Was happy to see that. They did tie Florida's meet record, running 37.97, and I knew someone was going under 38 at this meet. They didn't need to do it in the finals, but 37.97. They're tied for number 2 all time in NCAA history. We now have 3 universities under 38 seconds: LSU, the record holders, Florida, and Auburn. All SEC schools and all schools that will be strong again next year, I'm sure of it. But Maka Chiramba was not going to be denied, and he certainly brought it home with an excellent performance, 38-33 to win it. And then you have the 4x4, South Florida pulled out the biggest surprise, 3 minutes 42. I thought it would take a sub 3 minute performance to win. It did not, so I will take that L on the chin. But hats off to South Florida because they flipped the script. If you watch my channel, you've seen the pin relays and you saw Ahmad Robinson walk them down the last 100 meters of the pin relays to the roar of the crowd. He's done that 2 years in a row. But USF would have the last laugh as their anchor surged past him because he did his normal run. He timed it perfectly and he surged to the front, and you thought that's it. Because if Texas A&M wins it, they win the national title outright, and we'll talk about why outright means something. But the anchor from USF would not be denied. 44-2 anchor leg. 3 minutes, 42 seconds. Got tackled by his teammate there to celebrate. They could not believe it. Hats off to USF, who's had to sit in the shadow of Florida and Florida State. They've really kind of been the kings this year. Things didn't go the way they wanted to, I think, this weekend, but I think they should feel even better about the future of their program. Now, for the team title battle, it was a tie, USC and Texas A&M. They both scored a total of 41 points. Low scoring meet doesn't matter. You just have to have enough points to win it. And again, if had Texas A&M won the 4x4 outright, they would have won the national title. Had USC scored even a point in the long jump or did better in the 4x4 just by one place, they would have won it. But this is now, I believe, the fifth time it's been a tie. Couldn't happen to two better coaches. They were there at the press conference and they spoke really highly of each other's programs. USC coach Quincy Watts, his first national title at USC, the first men's national title since the 70s. We're talking almost 50 years since USC has won a national title on the team side. And for Texas A&M, this is Pat Henry's 10th title at Texas A&M. Let's not forget he has a ton at LSU. He had a dynasty. I believe he won 10 years in a row on the women's side. Uh, just remarkable coaching, and I just enjoy watching Pat Henry do what he does. He finds a way to win, and he will retool also because he's going to have quite a few seniors move on. But just know that Texas A&M will be just as strong next year. And so that is our meet. I fully enjoyed this season. I hated that the weather did not cooperate because I'm fully convinced that Jordan Anthony has a 9-7 in those legs. But happy to see him do well. Look forward to seeing what happens with Kristen Jackson of Virginia Tech. Does he redeem himself? Does Nathan Green keep it going? What will happen with those young Michigan runners and the Oregon runners? We got a lot more coming back next year, and I think we're going to have an even stronger year next year. Because this year there was a lot of retooling, but there were still some great performances. I'm also curious to see who turns pro early. Got my eye on Jacoby Tharp, wondering what he does, because I do honestly believe he's the future. I think he's a great, talented hurdler. Will all the young, talented distance runners in the 5K and 10K come back? We'll see, because some of them are ready for professional ranks. They've proven that this year. What a year we've had. We've got more to talk about because we have national championships for these respective countries coming up. And then we have the world championships, which will be later in the year. But I think we are in for a treat. So I hope you enjoyed. We'll have more. We'll have another video. So this is not where we'll end the season with videos, but we will end the collegiate season here with a positive. Look forward to talking with you all in the next video when we discuss the women's championship. But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Look forward to discussing this with you further. Thanks for always showing support.